What if you took the wholesomeness of Babe and had them try to solve the murder of Farmer Hoggett? If you saw the trailer for The Sheep Detectives and thought, it sounded like Babe meets Knives Out, you're not alone. A flock of sheep trying to solve the murder of their shepherd sounds like the kind of premise that should be either painfully annoying or stretched out way too thin after the first 20 minutes. On paper, it feels like one of those family films we seem to get these days built around a single joke. But somehow, to my surprise, The Sheep Detectives defied my expectations. The story centers on a flock of sheep raised by George Hardy, played by Hugh Jackman. When George suddenly dies, his flock is left completely untethered. Having been raised on a nightly diet of whodunits, the flock assumes they've simply wandered into the pages of a new paperback. And if they're indeed in a mystery, they know the rules. There has to be clues, suspects, and a killer hiding in plain sight. What starts as an absurdly sweet setup slowly becomes something more sincere because the mystery is also their way of refusing to accept that George is truly gone. This is where the film truly surprised me. I went in expecting something cute, clever, and maybe amusing enough to recommend as a harmless family mystery. What I didn't expect was a movie that would dive this hard into grief, death, fear, and emotional confusion that comes with losing someone who gave your life structure. Of course, this is still a funny, charming, and accessible family movie, but it has a darker and more thoughtful center than I expected. I must admit, I almost wrote this film off completely when the trailer made a point of mentioning that it came from the director of several recent Illumination movies. While those movies are obviously huge with audiences, they've never really been my thing. Too often, that style of modern family animation feels like it's afraid kids will look away for 5 seconds. So everything gets flattened into noise, speed, and easy jokes. That's where Craig Mazin's screenplay really works. A movie like this only survives if the script commits to the ridiculousness without treating its audience like idiots, and Mazin threads that needle beautifully. The sheep misunderstand the human world in ways that are funny, but the movie never reduces them to one-note gag machines. Lily, voiced wonderfully by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, becomes the emotional center of the flock, while Bryan Cranston's Sebastian brings a cynical, bruised quality that gives the group some edge. The human side of the movie works better than I expected as well. The balance between the official investigation and the sheep's covert detective work could have been easily messy, but the film finds a nice rhythm between the two. Nicholas Braun gives the local cop more shape than the usual bumbling small-town authority role, while Nicholas Galitzine and Molly Gordon help flesh out the village beyond the mystery itself. Meanwhile, Emma Thompson knows exactly what kind of movie she's in as a lawyer who rolls into town with secrets of her own. What really got me is that the film doesn't soften death into something easy just because it's aimed at families. It finds a way to approach mortality without becoming too grim, but it also doesn't pretend that loss is simple. The sheep are trying to solve a crime, but they are also trying to solve grief itself. For a family film, this is heavier than expected, and the movie handles it with a lot more confidence than I saw coming. Visually, the movie is also a major relief. With this being his first live-action film, I was happy to see director Kyle Bada and his team give the sheep a tactile presence. The blend of visual effects and puppetry helps make them feel like they actually exist in the idyllic English village. There's a cozy storybook quality to the locations, but the movie still feels grounded enough that the mystery has some texture. That said, the effects aren't flawless. There are a handful of moments where the CGI sheep look a little wonky, especially when the movie asks them to carry more complicated expressions or interact closely with the live-action environment. It never ruined the movie for me, but it is noticeable in some spots. If I had one bigger issue, is that the movie may run a little longer for younger audiences. While I was completely invested, I could possibly see some kids getting restless during stretches where the film slows down. Personally, I appreciated that the movie had the confidence to take its time. Then again, maybe I'm being too quick to judge youngsters today, but that ambition is why I admired it so much. The Sheep Detectives could have been disposable. It could have been loud, frantic, pun-heavy kids movie with awful pop music that treated its premise like a joke. Instead, it becomes a weirdly soulful mystery about love, loss, loyalty, and the stories we use to understand things we aren't ready to face. Here's the bottom line. I went into The Sheep Detectives expecting acute curiosity and walked out genuinely moved. It's the rare family movie that doesn't panic the second things get sad. It lets the weirdness stay weird, it lets the grief actually sting, and still finds a way to send you out smiling and crying at the same time. Even with a slightly long runtime and a few uneven visual effect shots, this thing completely won me over. I didn't expect to care this much about a flock of amateur sheep detectives, but here we are. And that's why I'm giving this movie an 8 out of 10.
Guys, I may be inside a clue. Ow!
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.